Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we got a couple of things to discuss as we continue on with our game review series, talking about the game reviews from both Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm going to all of that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Internet Talk channel. Before I begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. We are so close to 100 subscribers. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this without you guys, so don't forget to subscribe. And as usual, I'm going to kick things off today by discussing the game reviews from the past couple of days. We had 10 games to discuss from Tuesday, and we have 3 games to discuss from Wednesday. So we'll get to all these game recaps coming up right now. To start off with, we had on Tuesday, we had a huge game between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Buffalo Sabres. A really close game. It was 1-1. It was 2-2. It went to overtime. We're in overtime. This goal here from Martin Necas was able to get the OT winner. Remember, all clips are credited to Sportsnet. But Necas gets the OT winner and sends the Carolina Hurricanes to a victory, getting them up to an 8-5-0 record. While the Sabres OT loss gets them down to a 6-6-1 record. So really close game, but a good game there from both sides. Shea had a goal and an assist. Aho had a 2-assist night, while D'Angelo and Necas also scored for the Carolina Hurricanes in the win. Meanwhile, for the Buffalo Sabres, Tuck and Dahlin were the 2 goal scorers for them in the loss. So it was a close game, really good game from both sides. I really liked the way the Buffalo Sabres played. They continued to play pretty well after their poor starts, but it was an OT loss to the better Hurricanes on that night. As for the Hurricanes, it was a really good game for them, and they continue to improve as best as they can. So really good stuff there from the Hurricanes to get another win. Then you had the Montreal Canadiens take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa would jump out to a 4-0 lead. Canadiens would start to make it interesting, but they would wind up losing 5-3 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Bolts are now up to 6-3-4 record. Canadiens have dropped to a 5-5-2 record, so Canadiens, after a really hot start, now back down to 500. For the Bolts, Paul scored twice. Kucherov had a goal and an assist. Hedman, Stamkos, and Hagel all had 2 assists, while Isamon and Berboulet also scored for the Bolts in the win. While for the Canadiens, Pizzetta, Suzuki, and Dvorak in his first game back with the Montreal Canadiens all scored for the Canadiens in the loss. So really close game, but the Canadiens were wound up coming on the losing side of things. I'm not sure if this is overly surprising. I thought the Canadiens would started to regress at some point, so it seems like the Canadiens are starting to regress now. As for the Tampa Bay Lightning, not overly surprised they were able to beat the Canadiens. It'll be interesting to see how they do after this game. Matt Tompkins, who is their backup right now, got his first career NHL win. I think it was 11 years after he's been drafted, so really great story there from Tompkins, and the Bolts are able to come away with the victory to improve to 6-3-4. Then the Minnesota Wild would come back from down 2-1 to beat New York Islanders 4-2 to improve to 5-5-2 and drop the Islanders to 5-3-3. Really close game there from these two teams. They were really close. But the Wild were able to pull away in the third period and get a couple of goals to take the lead and put on the insurance marker. The Wild were able to get Eric Sneck and Patrick Maroon both with a goal and an assist, while Terry and Kaprizov were the other goal scorers for the Wild in the win, and Dobson and Wallstrom were 2 goal scorers for the Islanders in the loss. So really close game there. Good to see Wallstrom get on the board finally. I know he's been mentioned in trade talks, so good to see he got on the board for the New York Islanders. But still, it was a really close game. Both teams are really good, but Wild were able to come away with the victory. So Wild have back-to-back wins now, up to 5-5-2 after starting the season 3-5-2. So huge stuff there from the Wild. Meanwhile, for the Islanders, they're down to 5-3-3, still above 500, but not overly good to fall to 5-3-3. So good stuff there from the Wild to improve their record. New York Rangers would get out to an astonishing 5-0 lead after the second period. The Red Wings would score 3 times, make it interesting, but they would wind up losing 5-3 to the New York Rangers. Rangers improved to 9-2-1. Red Wings dropped to 7-5-1. So really close game there from 2 really good teams. Rangers will get 2 goals from Vincent Trocheck. Artemi Panarin and Chris Carter both had a goal and an assist. Eric Gustafsson had 2 assists, and Will Cooley also scored for Rangers in the win. While Ben Sherratt had 2 assists, and Costin, his first as a member of the Detroit Red Wings. Asmussen and Kopp also scored for the Detroit Red Wings in the loss. So really close game. Both teams had a really good showing, but it was the Rangers who definitely were looking really good early on. So good to see the Rangers were able to win. They're now tied for 3rd in the league, and they're still way ahead in the Metro Division right now. Meanwhile, the Red Wings, after a pretty hot start after starting out with their first loss, continue to falter a little bit and now down to 7-5-1. So still a solid record for Detroit, but they are falling a little bit right now. Then you had the Winnipeg Jets beat the St. Louis Blues 5-2. Jets' second win of the season against St. Louis to improve their record to 6-4-2 and drop the Blues to 5-5-1. So really good game there from both sides. Iafallo had a 4-assist night there for the Winnipeg Jets. Connor, 2 goals and an assist, and Sheffield, goal, 2 assists. Both had 3-point nights. Morrissey had 2 assists game, and then Perfetti and Pionk also scored for the Winnipeg Jets in the win. So they had a lot of contributions from a lot of places. Great to see Alfalo have a solid game like that. For the Blues, Thomas and Shen were 2 goal scorers in the loss. So it was a really solid game there from the Jets, improving to 6-4-2. They continue to have back-to-back wins after starting out 500 after their first 10 games. Blues are back down to 500. Still look pretty solid, but once again, they still have some trouble scoring. So they're going to have to try and figure out how to improve their goal scoring output, but still, it's a solid game there from the Blues, but they do wind up falling to their Central Division rivals in Winnipeg. Then we had the Yotes take on the Kraken, back and forth game. Each team had the lead at different points in time. It wound up going 3-3 into extra time. It went 3-3 into a shootout where the Arizona Coyotes would win 4-3 in a shootout over the Seattle Kraken. Coyotes improved to 6-5-1. Kraken back down to 4-6-3. So the Kraken at least get a point, but they continue to be under 500. Coyotes are back above 500 now, so really good game there from Arizona. Keller had a goal and an assist. Schmaltz had 2 assists. Hanem and Shelley were the other 2 goal scorers in regulation, while the lone shootout goal scorer was Nick Bukestad in the win. So huge stuff there from Arizona. Meanwhile, for the Seattle Kraken, Tolvanen had a goal and assist. Beniers had 2 assists, and both Shorts and Shells were also scorers in regulation for the Seattle Kraken. They didn't have any shootout goal scorers in the loss. So really good game there from both sides. I thought the Kraken might come away with a victory, but the Arizona Coyotes continue to be resilient, and they do take this game 4-3 in a shootout. So solid game there from both sides, and it's another 3-point game that resulted in 3 points. Then you had the Calgary Flames wind up beating the Nashville Predators 4-2. Predators up 2-0 early in the first period, but the Flames would score twice to get it to a tie. Then this third period goal here from Blake Coleman was able to give the Calgary Flames a 3-2 lead. They would add an insurance marker, and the Flames would end up winning 4-2. Coming back from down 2-0. So a solid win there from the Calgary Flames, and a much needed win there too, as they've now won back-to-back games over the Preds and the Kraken. For the Flames, Kadri had a goal and an assist. Sharangovich and DeSimone both had 2 assists, while Coleman, Dubé, and Hannafin all also scored for the Flames in the win. Meanwhile, Sherwood and McCarron were 2 goal scorers for the Preds in the loss. So Flames improved to 4-7-1. They're still 3 games below 500, but they do have back-to-back wins, so that's a really solid stuff there from the Flames. Maybe they're starting to turn things around. I know they didn't have the best 10-game mark, and they're not doing overly well, and it sounds like they're shopping a lot of players, but at least they're starting to get some more wins in their system. Meanwhile, for the Predators, they dropped to 5-7-0. They're back down to 2 games under 500. Still haven't been very consistent this year, so hopefully they're able to find some more consistency, but still not the best of showings from the Nashville Predators. Then you had the Avalanche double up the New Jersey Devils 6-3, with 3-3 going to the third period, but the Avalanche were able to take over the game and win 6-3, so that's a solid move there for the Colorado Avalanche. They improved to 8-3-0 and dropped the Devils 7-4-1, so both teams continue to do really well, but this was the Avalanche's game to lose. Brandon had 2 goals and an assist. McCarr had 3 assists. Both had 3-point nights. Wood and McKinnon both had a goal and an assist. And Johansson and Colton also scored for the Colorado Avalanche in the win. So solid games there from a lot of the Avalanche players. Meanwhile, for the Devils, Toffoli and Hamilton both had a goal and an assist. And Meyer also scored for the Devils in the loss. So solid game there from both sides. Devils continue to look pretty good and was one of the better teams in the Metro. But this was a really good matchup. Possibly even a Stanley Cup final preview of 2 really top teams in the East and the Western Conference. So solid game there. It was a really exciting one. The Avs come away with the victory 6-3. Then you had the Anaheim Ducks winning streak come to an end. The Pittsburgh Penguins would shut out the Anaheim Ducks 2-0 to improve to 5-6-0 and drop the Ducks to 7-5-0. So really solid stuff there from the Penguins, and the Ducks winning streak comes to an end. The Penguins would get goals from Zohorna and Crosby in the win, while Jari and Hellberg stopped all 31 shots by the Ducks in the game, as the Penguins would get the shutout victory. Ducks, like I said, dropped the 7-5-0. Still a solid record, given the fact they're supposed to be a rebuilding team. So that's not overly surprising, but still, it's a bad way to lose their first game since their 6-game winning streak, and they still do a really good job. So Ducks have done all right, and that was a solid game there from them against the Pittsburgh Penguins, but they do find themselves on the losing end and finally do wind up losing, so it'll be interesting to see how they are able to bounce back. The San Jose Sharks are able to get their first win of the season. Big stuff there, as the Sharks have been winless in their first 11 games. But the Philadelphia Flyers wound up losing to the San Jose Sharks 2-1, so Sharks were able to get some really good game there from Mackenzie Blackwood, and they were able to get a goal and an assist from Anthony Duclair, goal from Eklund as the goal scorers for the Sharks. So really good stuff there from San Jose. Like I said, Blackwood played well. Took a pretty good team effort from the San Jose Sharks. They improved to 10-1. So it's a very, very bleak record still, but at least they're able to get their first win of the season. Flyers dropped to 5-7-1. At one point, they were like 4-2-1, I think it was. So the Flyers have definitely come back down to earth really, really quickly. The Farabee was the lone goal scorer for the Flyers in the loss. So Flyers don't look overly well right now. They do not look like the team that was challenging Vegas for a point a couple of weeks ago, or a team that started out very, very hot. So I am not overly surprised that the Flyers look like this right now. I was expecting them to regress at some point. It looks like they have. Good to see the San Jose Sharks got their first win, but it was not easy, and it's going to be really hard to get another win. So we'll see when they're able to get their next win, as it took 11 games to get their first one. So it'll be interesting to see. Going over to the games that happened yesterday, we had 3 games. First, a Battle of Ontario, the first one of the season between the Maple Leafs and the Senators. A really close game. It was 1-1 at one point, then it was 2-1. Sens made it 3-2. Leafs were tied at 3-3 in the third period, but then the Sens would score 3 quick goals. One made it 4-3. This one here from Tim Stützle made it 5-3 for the Ottawa Senators. And then they would add another one to make it 6-3, and the score would finish 6-3 Senators. They would double up their rivals, and after the Leafs blew a huge lead, the Sens would wind up getting the win. So a very good win there for the Ottawa Senators. Sens improved to 5-6-0. Leafs dropped to 6-5-2. So Leafs are only a game above 500, which is really worrisome. At this point in time, there was a really solid game from a lot of Ottawa Senators players. Stützle had a 4.8 with a goal and 3 assists. Both Giroux, 2 goals and an assist, and Joseph, 3 assists, had 3-point nights. Kubalik scored twice. Chikrin had a goal and an assist for Sens in the win, so a lot of good, solid offensive game there from a lot of the Sens players. Meanwhile, for the Leafs, Nylander had a goal and an assist. He continues his hot start to the season. Tavares had 2 assists, and both Bertuzzi and Robertson also scored for the Leafs in the loss as they dropped to 6-5-2 on the year. So really bad defensive outing there for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but the Sens are able to get back on their winning ways, so hopefully they'll be able to string together a couple of wins. Then we had the Florida Panthers down the Washington Capitals in overtime. Really close game, back and forth action. They would wind up winning 15 seconds into overtime, 4-3. So a solid game there from the Florida Panthers. All 4 of OEL, Reinhart, who had the OT winner, Barkov, and Rodriguez had a goal and an assist for the Panthers in a win. So solid game there from a lot of those Florida Panthers players. Meanwhile, for the Washington Capitals, Mantha scored twice, McMichael had a goal and an assist, and Protas had 2 assists for the Caps in the OT loss. Caps dropped to 5-4-2. Panthers improved to 7-4-1. So Panthers continued their solid start to the season. Caps are just above 500 right now, not doing overly well, but they're not doing as bad as they were to start the season. So good stuff there from both sides, and the Panthers were able to come with a huge victory to improve their record. Kings were able to down the Golden Knights in a rematch of a game that happened a week and a half ago. The Kings were able to win 4-1 and continue to do extremely well on the road. Kings improved to 8-2-2. Knights have lost back-to-back games and have dropped to 11-2-1. Kings were able to get a goal and an assist from Kopitar and Kempe. Spence had 2 assists, and Morin Dubois would also score for the Kings in the win, while William Karlsson was the lone goal scorer for the Knights in the loss. So Knights continue to do not overly well over the past couple games after starting out absolutely phenomenal. So not overly great stuff there from Vegas. For the LA Kings, they're an extremely good team, well-oiled machine on the road. They're up to 8-2-2. They're really giving Vegas and Vancouver a challenge for second and first in the Pacific. So Kings look really good. Knights still look really good, but the Kings are able to come away with a victory on this night. So really good stuff there from both sides. But that's all the game reviews we're going to talk about here today. Definitely seems like there's been a lot of really good teams there who've started out really well. Quick game preview here for the next 2 days. Today we have 11 games on the schedule, and tomorrow we'll have 6 games on the schedule, so some pretty busy schedules. At 4 p.m. Pacific time, we have the New York Islanders taking on the Boston Bruins, the Montreal Canadiens taking on the Detroit Red Wings, the Minnesota Wild taking on the New York Rangers, and the Vancouver Canucks taking on the Ottawa Senators, as well as the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. At 4:30, we have the Stars taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. At 5, we have the Coyotes taking on the Blues, and the Preds taking on the Jets. At 6, we have the Kraken taking on the Avalanche. And then at 7:30, we have the Penguins taking on the Kings, and the battle between the 2 worst teams in the league right now, and the Oilers and the Sharks. So it'll be interesting to see how those 11 games go tonight. And then tomorrow, we have 6 games. At 4 p.m. Pacific time, we have the Wild taking on the Sabres, Canes taking on the Panthers, Caps taking on the Devils, Leafs taking on the Flames. With at 7 o'clock, we have the Sharks taking on the league-leading Golden Knights, and the Flyers taking on the Anaheim Ducks. So it'll be interesting to see how those games go for those teams. But definitely, it's been a really good, interesting week so far. Definitely, if you look at the Pacific Division, they're a really, really interesting division because they have 3 of the top 5 records and 3 of the low 5 records. The Sharks, the Oilers, the Flames are in the bottom 5 of the NHL points-wise right now, and the Canucks, the Kings, and the Golden Knights are in the top 5 of the NHL. So it's really interesting to see the disparity between the top end and the bottom end of the Pacific Division. So it'll be interesting to see how Vegas does against San Jose. But still, really interesting stuff here. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this down in the comments. Still, can any of those teams who we talked about in our last video come back from that overly bad 10-game starts, like Nashville, Minnesota, Chicago, Seattle, Pittsburgh, Ottawa, who's had 8 points in their first 10 games, Calgary, Edmonton, who had 5 points in their first 10 games, San Jose, who only had 1 point in their first 10 games. Can any of those teams start to win a couple of games, string together a couple of things, and start competing for the playoffs again? Or how many of those teams do you think will wind up guaranteeing to miss the playoffs? Definitely have to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Plus, over the past 2 days, which were some of your more exciting games that you like to watch over the past couple of days? Definitely, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments. That's what I'm going to talk about for today. Don't forget to like this video, and if you really liked it, remember to subscribe down below. We are so close to just subscribers. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this with all of you guys, so don't forget to subscribe. I also do a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that, so definitely check that out. I'll leave a link down in the description below, and I can't wait to see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.